Good morning, everybody. Pain is silent. Joy is silent too. But we voice a lot of joy, but pain somehow is not voiced a lot. My name is Kanika Kush, and I'm the voice of silence, the voice of your silence. We are sitting here for the 43rd episode at Costa Coffee in Gurgaon, and for this, I would like to thank Ekta and Rahul. And I would like to also thank my team, which consists of Pratik, Deepti, Deepa, and Adi. They are all right behind the camera, so you cannot see them right now. Also, just saying that we are a self-funded venture and would love for everybody here to be kind enough to donate whatever you can to our donation jar and the QR code. Before we proceed with our 43rd speaker, I want to remind you or take you somewhere. Just be with me for a bit. We speak about life cycles. We speak about the beginning of birth and the ending, which is death, or start and end. Everything is a cycle, and we as Indians would know it a little too much because we have about 85,626 rituals around birth and death. Birth and death. Now, the irony of all this is that what machinery is actually enabling birth and death is the female reproductive system. That is number one. Number two, when we are cremating, or there's a ritual around death in India, we do know that the soul is carrying the body. The body has actually gone. It is the soul maybe that we are celebrating. Look at the irony now that when a similar cycle ends in a body which is alive with the soul that is pulsating, then we have quite appalling reactions to the person involved, which is a woman. And things like isolation, things like stigma, things like taboo. So are we that uneducated? Are we that frivolous as a society? And can we break some of those myths today? So with that, let's welcome our 43rd speaker, Malvika Singal. Let's give a round of applause, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Malvika. Malvika is going to be breaking some myths around menopause, something that we all need to speak about quite openly, and that's why she's here. Malvika, can you give us a brief introduction about yourself before we begin?
Sure. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Kanika, for having me on Voice
My
of
pleasure.
Silence. I've been following you, and I have seen the remarkable work that you're doing and the kind of topics that you're bold enough to talk about. As an introduction, I'm a woman in my mid-40s. I live in Gurgaon. Been through the entire cycle of what all phases women go through. Monarchy, motherhood, and now approaching menopause. Born and brought up in Delhi, eldest of three sisters. So we are three sisters, eldest of them. Parents were in the services, civil services, etc. By profession, I work with the corporate. I have experience of 25 years. I'm a very versatile person because my interests range in a very, very wide variety of things that I like to do and I'm interested in doing. I have a very simple motto that I live with, and I like to quote some famous lines by Maya Angelou, who says, "My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive.
Yeah.
And do it with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style." So that's very much sums up how I live my life.
Well, it sums up how you look and your body language also, if I can say, so at least right now that I know
Thank
a
you so much.
little bit about
Yeah.
you. But yeah, so you said that you're approaching menopause, which means I'm going to ask very layman questions, Malvika, for the benefit of people that are watching, and hopefully, I hope that there are a lot of men that are watching also. That actually is 50% of the population of the world. So, which is why I'm going to ask layman questions. So, when you say you're approaching menopause, does that necessarily mean that is perimenopause, or is that term perimenopause, or is it just like you're approaching menopause? Is that the rite of passage?
So any woman who is in her early to mid 40s to 50s will be going through this cycle, right? Perimenopause is the period around menopause. So what people do not know is menopause happens when you've not had your period for a consecutive 12 months. Everything around it is perimenopause. So basically peri is around.
Yeah.
Now this period actually kind of can continue from a couple of years to even 10 years. right? And people are not aware of the fact that it is a long period that we go through these symptoms, we go through the overall impact it has on a woman, emotionally, mentally, physically, and it affects the entire physiological well-being of a woman.
So you use the word emotional, mental, and physical. Can we we'll come to the emotional the last. Can you, in whatever experience that you have and whatever you've read about it or spoken to people about, can you take us through the mental and emotional we'll come into later, the physical symptoms first. Like, let's say there is a woman who's watching us today and maybe is not aware that she's approaching, it could be a possibility, and she's possibly assigning other things to it, which we women tend to do a lot. You know, that मेरे साथ कुछ हो रहा होगा, मेरे mood swing, मेरे साथ ही कुछ गलत हो रहा होगा. Can you, like a few of them, can you list down that this could be happening? Obviously, we all know that it can't be the only reason, but that could be a start point for a lot of women.
Yeah, so I think the issue is that nobody prepares us for this, right? We do not know what we are going to go through. So there's no one who has told us ki, when you're entering your 40s, these things will happen, or can happen. I mean, obviously, depending on your genetic cycle, etc. Some people suffer a little more than the others when the symptoms come. So it's very difficult to segregate the physical and the mental and emotional aspect, because it all just comes together.
It's interconnected.
It just comes together.
Yeah.
So the way I experienced it is that when I was around 42, 43, I started seeing there was a change in the way the whole cycles would happen, right? There was a lot more water retention and bloating, legs used to pain, abdomen used to pain, some other parts of the body used to pain. And then it started becoming, spiraling into these huge bounds of, low that would happen. I don't want to use the word depression because that's more clinically identified, but they were
seeing
low moods and huge mood swings, erratic. Yeah. And as this keeps growing, then you figure out that everything around you becomes very big.
Yeah.
Right. So small things happening in the environment, the impact on you is very big, and you would just break down and cry for lack of a better word, because you don't know what's happening.
It's helplessness.
Yeah. So the physical symptoms are there, and it's like a very exaggerated PMS that you're having, but there are a lot of other things that happen. And then because you don't know what you're going through, you're all alone, you feel absolutely unsupported, and you just don't know what's happening. You're extremely lost.
When you say you're unsupported, in your experience, did you, was there any support from maybe an elderly lady, maybe your mother or your mother-in-law or anybody else who actually kind of guided you, or maybe you went to them and said, ye ho raha hai, even by chance? And did they say that this could be, did you in your personal experience have that support?
Well, it's the unfortunate thing about our society that we don't like to talk about this. Right? And, which kind of brings me to a topic of, how some topics are, things we are just uncomfortable talking about, right? And I think this is one of them. So in our society, talking about, period or talking about things associated with that is a bit of a taboo. We're just not comfortable talking about it. It's like kept under wraps, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't talk about something so natural, then the M word or the menopause word, people don't want to talk about at all, right? Again, it leads to so many associations are there. So we have all been through it, we dealt with it, and we didn't say much. So it's a kind of when you talk to people,
a trivialization of sorts by older women.
Everybody goes through it.
तो बड़ी बात क्या है इसमें?
Not only elderly women, people your own age or just been through the cycle. The whole way they look at it is ki, theek hai, we went through it, but we didn't make a big fuss.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how they kind of look at it. Fortunately or unfortunately, sometimes you have to try and find your own support.
Okay. So the support bit we will get to in a bit, Malvika. But your personal thing, I would like to know, like, because we do have your friends and we have people here who we know, but there will be an online audience that's going to be listening to you, and I hope that audience is the one, pertaining to a crowd that हम तो फिर भी बात कर रहे हैं इधर. We are in Gurgaon right now, right? It's like the so-called millennium city of this country, ironically. But there must be tier 2, tier 3 and villages. I hope that this goes out too. When you say that unsupported, and ऐसा trivialization होता है, that time how did you feel? Like, how did you as a woman, you're a mother, right? You're a working woman, you're handling we all are juggling so many things. How did that make you feel? Like, feeling क्या आती है उस time पे?
I think,
and does that add on even more than to everything else? Does that do that?
Yeah. So the feeling of being unsupported, the feeling is actually of not really knowing what's happening to you, right? I think that is the feeling that kuch ho raha hai, and this is not normal, and like this is different from what we have been through in the past, and you keep wondering ki kya ye sirf tumhare saath ho raha hai? Is it like just me? Like why am I behaving like this? Why am I not wanting to get out of bed for 4 days? Why am I just bursting into tears for no rhyme or reason? Why is it happening to me? What is happening to me is, I think, the bigger question that comes up.
Did you go through periods of self-judgment?
I think I wouldn't like to put it that strong a sentence to say self-judgment. I think it's a process, right? We are going through a process. It's when you figure out that, you are, so when the 42 age happened and then the 45 happened, and when you reach the peak of it is when, you realize, or I realized, that maybe this is time that in this day and age to approach it like an educated woman. And I understood by then, okay, this is menopause, this is related to menopause. So started reading a lot about it, started doing a lot of internet research, hearing videos. So, okay, and then you kind of, okay, theek hai, to ye hota hai logo ko, and it's like we people are going through it. And then I started talking to people all around me, right? All my friends, other people I met at different classes or wherever I met them of the same age group. And I would ask this question. So, what age group are you in? Have you been through menopause? Are you experiencing symptoms? The funniest thing that came out is that people are still not very comfortable talking about it.
And right? When you say, I'm sorry, when you say people, is it more women or men?
I mean, I spoke to women.
You spoke to women. That's why I asked you the question.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure एक तो वैसे ही taboo है. So obviously you're not going to go to men and say, yo, dude, is your wife going through menopause? You won't ask, obviously. So I'm assuming that you're asking women, and then comes the next question, that it's women again who had funny answers sometimes.
Yeah, well,
that
I think it was not. It was a lot of unawareness, right? That I'm going through something.
Yeah.
People who've been through menopause, then there's surgical menopause. So there are a lot of different themes which came out as I started talking to people. And I started realizing that, people are going through symptoms. They do not have the know-how to deal with them. They do not have enough information. We are still sitting in our little silos, and dealing with our own problem and hoping that someday it will go away, like we deal with a lot of other problems. So that's the realization that came after doing this for over a period of time, talking to people, understanding people who've been through menopause. So it used to be a very direct question, but I used to ask that question. So I went through menopause. So how was it for you?
That's amazing.
It was tough.
Yeah, that's amazing that you went out and asked.
But I didn't make a big deal about it. Okay. It was tough, or there are certain lucky people ki pata bhi nahi chala ho bhi gaya. There are people like that. But I was suffering personally, and I wanted to kind of approach it with more information, which is why the whole discussions happen and the conversations happen. And then I started meeting doctors, so medical professionals, trying to get the right opinion, trying to get my checkups done to understand what's happening. So because obviously I'm a layman, so how do I figure out what's happening with me?
Yeah.
And that's how the whole knowledge started to come in.
So, before we move to the next section, Malvika, what in you, what part of you made you want to go and directly approach this with other women and move on to the next chapter about doing something and, getting more educated? What was there a point where you could pinpoint that this came in me, where I felt I'm going to do something about this for myself first and then for others?
Absolutely. There was a point. I think more than that, I also figured out that there are associated taboos, right? So why don't people talk about menopause? Because they associate it with getting old. They associate it with not being a woman enough or desirable woman. Or they associate it with that, they will start, if they associate themselves and say, okay, I am approaching menopause, then they will be classified or been told that, he's getting old because they're not in the prime of their youth. I think that also was another thing that came up, that we were not able to accept ourselves. We were not able to accept our age. We were not able to just understand that it is just a pause in your reproductive cycle, but you are as desirable and as gorgeous and as wonderful a woman as you were before. So I think that also kind of triggered that, something needs to be done about it. The trigger point mostly happened that when, I would feel something and then I would talk to a gynecologist or I would do some research, and it was a very small fix, a very little fix. So, some issue which was skin related or, tingling in your some places. And then you figure out, okay, Evian and evening primrose oil, that's all it needs. And that's when the idea came to me. And this came in 2022. Actually, maybe you should start a group, or maybe you should share this knowledge, or let people talk to each other. And I remember that I had this conversation with my very dear friend, Yoshita and Kanika. And I told them, I said, look, this is what I want to do. Am I being impulsive? Because I have this mind, I want to start a community. So, and I know that if I tell them, am I going crazy? And I am, they'll tell me that,
you need such people in your life.
You are going. So I asked them, and I remember very clearly, Yoshita even told me, sit on it for a month. If after a month you feel the same way, as passionate and as determined to do something, then go ahead and do it. And then my next question was, suppose it doesn't take off. Then I want to start this group. And I wanted to start very small. I just thought, the people I know in my age group and around me, let me put them together as a community, let them talk to each other, let's meet once a month, let's have some education happening, etc. So my next question to them, because they are my sounding board, was, suppose I fail. And they were like, "Band kar denge?" So what was the big deal? You want to do it, you're feeling so strongly about it, go ahead and do it. And that's
how the next chapter began.
Yeah.
Okay. So before moving to the next chapter, I think I would like to summarize what Malvika has just said. Number one, it's a request, whoever is watching, we are women, okay? And 40s onwards, jo auratein hoti hain na, that is like next level of strength. So I think the world needs to start embracing a few things. That's number one. Number two, it is a cycle, like I said at the beginning of, when we started, it's a cycle, and we are 50% of the world. And are you trying to then say, let's say that you are going to have taboos around it or stigmas around it, then are you trying to say that, like she mentioned, old age. Old age in itself is so pregnant of wisdom and experience. We look up to people who are older, right? And who defines old age? But the point, and with negativity is what I'm trying to say. So, shouldn't we all just embrace it, and let's not isolate our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, our wives, our friends. It is not a happy place, because half the times anyways women are subject to a lot of body shaming from day one. Usko to chhod hi do, to alag hi cheez hai. Apart from that, we are dealing with so many issues from the moment we get up in the morning till we sleep. Right now, when I'm on the camera right now, I have 6 things going on piche, just being a woman. So can we at least as a society start to hold hands with women who are entering this phase because it is such a beautiful. The reason for this is it's going to be bloom. We're going to be speaking about the word bloom, right? एक चीज खत्म हुई, moving on to another one. Let's start please embracing it with open arms and be there for our women. And let's all be there for ourselves, you know. And I think that is how Malvika, maybe this was also the line of thought that Malvika had when she wanted to begin something as what she's going to speak about just in a second. I think that we need more of people like Malvika, basically, you know, to bring this to the forefront. Talk about it openly, yaar. Like openly that I think a menopausal symptom chal raha hai. Haan, chal, theek hai yaar. Chal, let's move on. You know, just move on. I mean, why make such a big deal about it? You know, it is something which has to happen. Has to. It is that natural, as they actually.
Yeah, it's a very natural part of being a woman.
Yeah. So, Malvika, let's speak about the Facebook group. What do you call it? Why did you call it that? And what does it intend to do? The whole journey, please.
Sure. So it is a community. It's a support community for women. It's a safe, trusted place, which I think every woman deserves when they are dealing with this phase of life, which is perimenopause and menopause. So there were multiple reasons why this community I set up. One was obviously that I was the whole thought was, how do I bring menopause into the mainstream? So one of the main thoughts behind having a group like Bloom, Demystifying Menopause, that's the whole name, is to normalize talking about menopause, right? So we shouldn't go like, okay, it's there. It's part of our lives, right? The second was obviously to equip women to handle this phase of life, right? So instead of ignorance, get the right advice, right? So we have got many medical professionals or medical practitioners who have come on Bloom in the last 12 months and done webinars and podcasts talking about different aspects. So gynecological or psychologist or nutrition or health, or the importance of nutrition and health. We've even had talks about accepting your body as it is right now.
Yeah.
Right? And so we've had all that happening. So the second was to provide that awareness in the right manner from the right people so that people know what's going on. The third was to kind of get people together. As you said, you know, women should support each other. So get the women together. Let them not feel that this symptom that they're going through is only them, right? So we have WhatsApp group, we have a Facebook group, we have an Instagram, and I'm coming up with a website now. We talk about these things on the WhatsApp group. We come up with, okay, this is something new I'm going through right now, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really nice to know if somebody else has been through it, right?
Yeah.
So people talk about it. Okay, no, I have been through this. Okay, so what did you do about it? So people share. So some could be home remedies, some could be, you know, we went to the doctor and this is what the doctor prescribed, but very clearly with the disclaimer that one thing that prescribed for you might not work for the other. So please go and see a medical professional is extremely important. But just to know that, you know, if this is happening, you know, some strange things are happening with my skin, with my hair, with my mood, not able to get out of bed, whatever is happening, other people are there sharing that same symptom. Because if it's a huge community, and now the community has become 300 plus, so we are able to kind of share the wisdom and knowledge with each other. Now, the fourth reason or the purpose for Bloom was when you're trying to change a thought or the way society thinks, then you cannot just function with changing or educating women. You have to educate the ecosystem. Right?
I was going to come to that.
Yeah.
That was going to be
so
my next
how does your partner or spouse understand about menopause? Your friend, your colleague, your boss can be the whole ecosystem get more aware and accept it, and probably try and, you know, be more sensitive towards the whole thing. So those were the reasons why Bloom was set up.
You know, I remember, I'll quote my husband here, that a long time ago, I remember him telling me that he had one boss who was so rude to one of the employees who was again in her 40s, who was not performing or had some sort of a moment when she left the cabin. I remember my husband telling me that the boss told my husband, who was also present in the room, menopausal हो गई है. So guys, stop this. Stop it. Please. Not done. आप वहीं से आए हो. ये भूलो मत. मतलब don't forget. You know, at the end of the day, everything goes back to a woman. I'm sorry. Those are women rights. We are going to claim them. Everything comes from a woman. So let's stop being dismissive. Let's stop trivializing things. Because please understand, again, like Malvika said, that she's speaking about the ecosystem. Let me not be women-centric. In general, we are all going to work hand in hand together. So, अगर हम एक दूसरे की परेशानियां नहीं समझेंगे, तो हम हाथ पकड़ के आगे कैसे चलेंगे to make this world a better place in general, you know, instead of discriminating. मतलब नए-नए चीजें ढूंढते रहने हैं क्या हर रोज discriminate करने के लिए? Let's try and find things to unite each other, ना? Isn't that better? Right? And here are people who are doing exactly that. And may I please ask all of you to also join that. I mean, I've joined your group, but it's called Bloom Demystifying Menopause on Facebook.
Yeah.
So, and my question is it open to men?
It's going to be because now we're going to be getting some men to also talk from their perspective. See, this is right now a closed group because the topic was a very intimate one. And the whole idea was that women should feel comfortable coming and talking about it. And when I did research on are there groups here, are there communities, there were communities in the UK or in the other Western countries, nothing on this part of the world. And I'm part of a couple of those groups because I wanted to see what kind of conversation happens. How do they approach these things? So people talk very openly. They write down, they say, this is what I'm going through, and people advise. I have seen that in our part of the world, we just don't want to write. So we don't, if you put a comment, people don't respond. If you put something, you just don't get that kind of an engagement. And hence, I kept the group closed. For begin with, but the idea is to kind of have more people involved. The website that is coming up also is going to be more interactive. I ask people that they can share their stories. So there's a whole My Story corner. So anybody who's been through their story, anybody who's made those changes in their lives to kind of make it a much more adaptable to the phase of life. So that part is also going to be there. Yeah, and definitely, I mean, it's always the whole ecosystem which works together. So I think the whole idea was just to make women feel comfortable and create that safe space
to begin with. Basically, starting strong at the foundation and then maybe branching out with everybody. And in your opinion, you feel that this should be something we speak about reproduction and all that in school. मुझे याद नहीं है when maybe I'm forgetting. I don't remember. We were taught menopause. I don't remember, no. Honestly don't. Do you think this is something that can also be introduced in the education system of schools?
I'm not very sure of that.
And I'm not sure.
Because it's too early. See, anybody who has not reached that maturity or that level cannot understand what's going on. But I think if you are even aware at the age of 40 to say, this might be approaching, let's get prepared for it. Let's learn कि अच्छा क्या हो सकता है. Maybe everything might not happen to you. And then, can we make those changes in our life? Can we make those changes in our lifestyle? Can we get better prepared to handle it? होएगा तो है, सबके साथ होता है. So, but we just have to get more equipped to handle. Yeah.
No, I think this is my opinion. I feel that this should be. I mean, I feel that when a girl approaches monarchy, that time and puberty, the boys also. This is my opinion. Okay, that. Boys and girls both should be educated. देखो यार, यहाँ से ये शुरू होने वाला है. Then you talk about sex. You talk about sex education. You talk about reproductive parts of the body. Both boys and girls equally should know. तेरे साथ ये हो रहा है, मेरे साथ ये हो रहा है. यहाँ जाके ये होगा, तेरे साथ ये होगा. Like a very journey of life.
I might differ a little bit there because anyway, that age is also tough. Dealing with menarche is itself a very big thing.
It is.
So. I think it's better at that age that they learn.
Slow and steady.
Yes.
Slow and steady.
Yeah. Why deal with something which will come like 30, 40 years down the line?
I was just thinking how we teach children birth and death. Like all children
अभी तो 40s वाले women ही सीख लें.
सीख लेंगे. Yeah, you've got a point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And plus, you definitely have far more experience in this, in terms of starting the Facebook page and seeing the reaction of people.
Yeah.
So you would be better equipped with how it's received. Yeah, fair enough. Last section, what would your voice of silence be in this to the society, to anybody who's watching? What would you like? And you can go on talking about this. What would your message be going ahead from today? That this is what I really want, like the change in mindsets of men, women, whoever.
There's a famous quote by Socrates who says that the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on the fighting the old, but building the new. So I think the main thing here is not to look at it in any negative way, but to look at it as a new beginning. So reclaiming your life, reinventing yourself. It's such a fantastic time to take a pause, right? And look at your life choices. What changes can you bring, right? To be able to be more wholesome, healthier, happier when you go on to the next phase of life, right? See, perimenopause is tough, right? I'm not going to put it lightly to say it is not tough. It is tough. And we different people, it gets affected in different ways. But then being able to be prepared to manage what's coming will just solve half your problem. Because then, when we have now had this bloom for a year and I see the changes people have made in their lives, they become regular with exercise or regular with change their diet completely, reduce alcohol, become more careful, regular health checkups are happening, taking the right supplements. So just that change will help you navigate this phase much better. Right?
More equipped.
Yeah. And then obviously accepting yourself, right? This is me. Loving yourself as you are in the know-how is extremely important.
Yeah.
And most important, this is the time now. The time has come for women to support each other, to stand with each other, to be there for each other and help each other, navigate through a tough period together, so we can reach the new stage of life when we, kind of evolve like a phoenix. If I may say. So we evolve into a very new person. I've seen the newness happening in me. I've seen it in a lot of people who have now become very, very aware. And it is time to break the silence on menopause because we and you, we all deserve to bloom in every season and stage of our life.
Thank you. With that, it's an end. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Kanika.